Hi, I'm Lyle Sopel. You're here with me in my studio. I'm a Jade and Gemstone artist, and I'm demonstrating how I work out the detail in this project I've been working on now for a couple of weeks. This is an eagle project. This is nephrite jade, and I've got it pretty much shaped to the way I'd like to see it, but what I'm working on is some of the detailing on the head portion, and as you can see in some of my references here, the piece is a bald eagle, and it's going to have this separation here as a white head. So in order to do that, I have to sculpt around the shape, and I'm going to raise the collar section of it, as you might want to call it, and identify it separately. So after the piece has been detailed and I've got feathers in it and things of that sort, then I'll go back over and texture the areas that I want to see as white. So the body part will be polished and left green, and the head section here will be textured and left white, so we can see the eyes and all of that sort of thing. So this is one of two, and it's going to be over here. Let me just show you. This is the second piece. So on this piece, we've got the feathers laid in, and I may have showed you this one last week, but here it is. I really love this piece because of the quality of the jade. It's just absolutely fantastic. It's really, really A quality nephrite jade from Canada. It's from Cassiar mines, and Cassiar has produced some of the best color jade in my mind in the last long while. So that's what this is, and coming along, there's details in here, and see how I've worked on this bird here as well, with the collar is placed in there and the feet are detailed. So these birds are going to be connected together. I've left a section of the wings where they can fit, and so this is part of the storyline that I'm going to produce with this piece, is an action pose between the two of them, and then mount them up on top of it's an alligator, smoky alligator quartz, so they're going to fit up here together like that. Sometime very soon, I think by next week, I should have these in some pretty close order to have them mounted. But one of the things that I need to have for my storyline is what is their reason for their position? What's their action? And so I've got a piece of amethyst here, and I use this for another thing, and I put it into the foot of this bird, and I thought, wow, this is really very cool. So it's interesting. It's like eagles are scavengers, so they pick up all kinds of stuff on the beach, and it could be some kind of carrion or something, I don't know. It's something that would fit really well. The colors work well, and so that could be their topic. The topic of their story is what they're after here. And so I'm going to put this question to you as the audience, and maybe you would like to participate and give me your opinion. I have this as a choice, an amethyst kind of carrion theme for the subject, or I have another piece of amethyst that could very well be carved into a fish, and that could also fit into the talons of the bird. So as an amethyst fish, and I have another piece of fascinatingly green quartz. So the green quartz could also be shaped into a fish or some article off the beach. And so that's my storyline here. So it'd be great, just let me know what you think. What do you think? Is amethyst fish, amethyst carrion, or maybe a green fish? Keeping the composition theme is green. So I think also along the baseline, I'm going to sculpt water into the base here, so it'll be a tiered kind of pattern of water into the base portion. So it just gives you kind of an idea of how I think. Is the planning comes along as I produce the piece. So I've had this general idea that these birds could be put put together on their wingtips, but then how does the composition come into play, and what makes it interesting, and what's the storyline? Storyline's really, really important. So there's another piece here that I've been working on is a puffin. And I showed you this last week, and it's just basically, if you don't know what a puffin looks like, that's them right there. Really colorful and fun, enjoyable kinds of things to work with. And so I have the body part, and we glued that body part in. It's the marble and the jade. So we've got the two parts, and so we've gone on also to make up a head section. So the head section fits in as well to the top, and on the head we have a beak. So the beak is natural, the pattern is natural in there. So if you can see it without. It's part of this kind of stone. It's like a sandstone that has a lot of interesting pattern. Very challenging to find the pattern that works so well as a puffin. And along with that, I'm going to add wings. So the wings are going to be inset, and I'm going to show you what I do for that. So you can see I've just kind of cut a groove, and then I match the shape here with the wing, and I set it in there. Now this will be drilled and pinned, and then when it's glued in there, we'll just shape it subtly around the edges to match the body form. And I have two wings, of course, one here, and the head that goes on. And I'll just put it together a little bit like that so you can see it's so cute. So that's kind of how it's all going to come together. Now for the storyline in this piece, I'm adding a second bird, and the second bird and this bird will be interacting, and there's going to be some young puffin as well in there. So it's another compositional thing that I just really love to work with. So our topic today on this video is, first of all, we've changed the name, by the way, and if you hadn't noticed, it's called Thriving in the Art World instead of Ask Lyle. And the reason we are doing that is because it's more in keeping with actually what goes on in the studio here when we do these talks and show and tells and that sort of thing. It's my ideas about how to be successful and what we can do together to be more successful in the art world. So the things that really affect me, I want to share and give you some solutions that I've come across that have really helped me in my work as an artist and my work as being successful as an artist. So one of the things that I love to do is, of course, sculpt. And every morning when I wake up, that's really all I want to do. I want to go to the studio. First thing, get up at breakfast, go to the studio. And I'm so lucky I have a studio very close to my home, so I can just walk right in the studio. But I have challenges with that because I also run a business. This is a business, and I sell my work to provide a living for myself and my family and the people that support me as well. So, you know, there's all these things that come up, and there's the business for one thing, and the phone calls, and all the emails that I have to deal with, and there's people to manage, and marketing plans, and all that kind of stuff that comes together for a business. And it takes me away from my studio space that I really, really love to, that's all I really want to do. So everything else is built around that to support my studio space. So it's like, how do I do it? How do I get to where I want to be? So one of the things that's really been a proven truth for me in order to solve the riddle about being in the studio more often than in the business world is awareness. Awareness of what I really want. Like, I've got to decide, do I want to be in the studio or do I want to be in the business world? So this awareness comes from, deciding, what is it that I want as an artist? I have to ask myself those questions. I really want autonomy as an artist. I want to have the freedom to create whatever it is that I want to create. And I don't want to be regulated by galleries, by clients, by anything around me. I don't want to be pressured by, cash flow needs or any of those kind of business things that are out there. I just want to be free. That's my ideal as an artist, is to be free with that idea. So the other thing that's really important to me is to have, design. I want to design my life around my studio time. So that's the thing I really have to question myself about is, how am I going to do that? How am I going to create my life so it's, a real centerpiece around my creative endeavors? So another thing is financially free. That's a really big goal for me, is to be financially free. So I want to be in the studio. I have autonomy that is really important. I want to design my life around how to be in the studio and also have all the things that are part of my life. I want to have my family. I want to have friends. I want to enjoy my life. I want to do all the things that I want to do, and I also want to have financial freedom. So the awareness of these ideals and this concept are really the essence of it. And how do you do that? How do you get awareness of where you're at? First, like I've always said, you need to set a goal, and you need to have a mission, and then you have to have a mindset. But being aware is asking yourself the question of where you are now. Like, are you happy with what you are doing right at this moment? Are all of these ideals that I'm talking about, if they apply to you, are they something that you are attaining right now? If they're not, then you have to ask yourself, can they be better? Now, the way to really get a handle on this is, and what I do, is I try to imagine myself as a person seeing me in my life from the outside. And I'm sure people that you look at their life and you go, man, if they only did it this way, or if they only did it that way, they'd be so much happier. Well, you could do that to yourself. Look at yourself in a way that is judgmental, in the sense that, ask yourself, can I really be different in some way? Can I do something that's a little bit different than the way it is now? So that's the awareness. So when you come across that awareness of maybe life could be a little bit different in some way, then you can start on a more progressive and a positive way. So you can get to spend more time in your studio. Like for what I do, I work Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, full-time in the studio. Nobody interrupts me. I don't have any phones. I don't have any emails. I don't do anything except work in the studio. I'm in the studio at 8 in the morning, and I don't leave until 6. So I have a regimented time frame. So that's Monday to Wednesday. Thursday, it's like today, we're doing a lot of marketing things. We're doing the live Facebook, and then we're going to meet with people that support me in that as well. So that's a day I've set aside for that. And then on Fridays, it's kind of like a free day where I do design work. I do business meetings as well on Friday. But it's also kind of a free day too, that I can come in the studio as well, but I don't necessarily work all day in the studio. So and then I take a Saturday and a Sunday off. I never really work on Saturdays and Sundays. So I kind of have a real life, like Monday to Friday. And then I have the rest of the week to myself, or the weekend to myself. And, that's my choice. I like the regularity, and I like to be able to take time for everything. And the only way I can take time for everything is I make time for it. So that's how I manage. In the Facebook questions, we had some questions about 3 things to take you out of chaos and put you into calm. And I think what I've really been talking about is that very thing is you have to have a belief that, there's a solution. If you're feeling like anxious and kind of out of control with the way your life is going, or the way your studio practice is going, then you have to believe that there is a solution. And there always is. There's always a solution. It's just how you view it. So you need to focus on that solution and not the problem. And I think that's kind of a given. So when things just seem to be so impossible and so difficult to deal with, we tend to focus on what that is because it's just so overbearing and it's on us all the time. And like, whatever, how do you pay the rent? How do you pay the mortgage? And things are getting to you. Whatever it is, there is a solution, and you have to come out of that and think in a positive way. And you have to think that there is a solution and there is a chance to move away from it. So you have to envision yourself free of that. So that's a technique, really, and it's not any different than any of the techniques you might use in your studio, in how to paint or how to sculpt or anything like that. So like what I want to do is design my life around my creative process. And so this is how you can do it. It's a thing. It's a thing that you can do. You can design your way through your life. And I don't know if you ever thought of it that way, but you can design a perfect life the way you want it to be. And it's very straightforward. It's not complicated. And you can start by just actually writing it down. You write down what you want. What would your solution be? If you had an infinite amount of time and money, what would the solution be to what you think of as your problem? What would the solution be? That solution can be your goal. And all you have to do is take one little step towards that. What would be the first thing you do to go to that solution? One thing. And if you take one thing, then you can see from one thing it leads to another thing. And you can have success that way. So I hope that enlightens a little bit, and hopefully by showing what I'm doing here in the studio, that can give you a little background. And oh, there's one more thing I want to share with you. That 10 insider secrets to the starving artist myths. These ideas that keep us intimidated or withdrawn from what we really want to do in our lives. The stuff that the society puts on us, that we are actually starving, and there's no sense of that at all. It's just our belief. So you can get this book that we've published, and it's on globalarts.com/Ask Lyle. And if you do that, you can get a free copy. It's the last week for the free copy, so get it when you can, but after that it's still available, and there's going to be whatever, $3.50 for it. So not a big price tag, but it'd be really great to share this with you. And if you got some ideas for me on the eagles with the fish or the different things, I'd really like to hear from you. That'd be great. So thanks for watching, and we'll check with you next week. Bye for now.